Hello, guys. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our YouTube channel. If I am audible, just let me know. Okay, thank you, Webhav. Okay, guys. I hope this year has been a great start for you guys, right? We have entered into 2024. So I wish you all a very happy new year and may this year fulfills all your dreams and all your goals and you all, let's say from my side, give it all your best and you become the person you want to become, right? An IAS officer, anything you hope and dream for, right? So let's start our journey for 2024 on a very bright note. Let's start, right? So, do let me know whether this PDF is visible to you guys. Visible. Okay. So let's start our first news. I have highlighted the important ones, right? So the first news is related to Expo set in orbit to study black holes and neutron stars. Now, this is a very important news that you guys have to remember. ISRO that has kicked off the new year with the launch of PSLV, that is the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle C-58 X-ray polarimeter satellite mission on Monday. So it is a very important ExpoSat mission that has been launched by ISRO, right? It is a very important mission. It was launched on the day of the new year. The successful launch, very important, has put India into an elite category as it becomes the second nation after the United States of America to send such an observatory that will try to study X-ray emissions from celestial sources like pulsars and black holes, right? So this is the important point that we have to understand. What they are trying to do over here is they are trying to understand the X-ray emission sources, and those are basically black holes and pulsars or neutron stars. And this is in this way, the way they which have launched, and they have become the second elite country after the USA. And USA का जो mission था उसका नाम था X-ray polarimetry explorer, and it was launched in 2021. So this is a one of kind of, we can say, a prelims question that could be asked in the UPSC prelims, that became India became the second country or USA was the first country, right? So these kind of questions can be put and amalgamated together. So this is a very important point कि अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं USA का, NASA का था imaging X-ray polarimetry explorer, right? So it is the first dedicated scientific satellite from ISRO that will be carrying out research in space based polarization instruments of X-ray emission from celestial sources, right? So this is one of the second prelims facts that you guys have to remember. Third important thing you have to remember is it is carrying two payloads. Very important. दो payloads के नाम क्या है? एक का नाम है POLIX, that is polarimeter instrument in X-rays, and second one is EXPECT, that is X-ray spectroscopy and timing. When we talk about POLIX, it has been developed by the Raman Research Institute and the EXPECT by the Space Astronomy Group of URSC Bengaluru, right? So these are the two most important news that we have that is related to ExpoSat. के सबसे पहली बात कि ExpoSat को हमने लॉन्च कर दिया है. It has been launched from PSLV C-58. Second important thing is that India has become the second country जिन्होंने ऐसा कोई मिशन भेजा है after USA's mission of XP, right? It is an imaging X-ray polarimetry explorer. And if we talk about ExpoSat, it will be studying X-ray emissions from black holes and neutron stars. And the third important thing is इसके अंदर दो payloads है, POLIX and EXPECT. POLIX को develop किया है Raman Research Institute ने, and EXPECT has been developed by Space Astronomy Group of URSC, right? So this is an important aspect that we have to cover, and it is one of the most important missions that have been launched by, अगर हम बात करें ISRO, and within a few months this mission has been launched after we had launched the Aditya L1 mission. Quickly write me in the comment box what was Aditya L1 mission related to. Those who guys know about it, right? Quickly write in the comment box what was Aditya L1 mission related to. Okay, now this is a news that comes regularly when we talk about हर महीने news आती है related to the collections that have been made from GST. So let us just see the diagram. That's thing that will be the sufficient for understanding this news. GST revenue growth dips to a 3-month low in December. So they are saying when we talk about and compare the 3 months of October, November and December, so this year the December month has seen the lowest revenue growth, right? So as you can see, GST revenue growth was, or basically the numbers crossed 1,64,800 crore in December, with year-on growth slowing to a 3-month low of 10.3% from a 15.1% rise in the previous month. बस इसमें इतना ही है, हम याद कर लें तो हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट होगा. One of the other thing that we have to understand is when we talk about GST, GST is related to central GST, as you can see over here. Then you have the revenues of the state GST, or we can say about the UT GST, and finally we have the integrated GST. So these are the three things that you have to understand. What are the three types of GST that we have? One is we have the central GST, second one is the state GST, and third one is the integrated GST. So this is a point that we have to remember in context of GST, right? Yes, Bhavav and Gurnavir, that's right. It is related to study the L1 point. So see, it will be studying the outer, we can say, अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं सन के, कोरोना को समझने की कोशिश करेगा. And second thing, it has been put in the L1, Lagrange point L1, right? So these are the 2 points that you have to remember about the Aditya L1 mission, right? So this comes against the backdrop of the success of India's Chandrayaan mission as well, right? So ISRO has done remarkably well if we talk about considering how much it has been successful in carrying out our space missions. That is why when we talk about ISRO and when we talk about its new, when we talk about GS Mark 3, PSLV, these have been the good or the great launch vehicles that have been developed indigenously, and they are giving us great fruitful results. Plus, they are carrying out the commercial exploration as well, that is going to get a huge boost to our space industry, right? So these are the two important news that we have in our today's newspaper related to the front page. I hope this aspect is clear to everybody. Okay, now I will directly go to the editorial page. There's nothing important that we need to discuss, right? So this is related to COVID variant JN.1. I don't think that is that much important, right? We're gonna discuss in the upcoming weeks if there are certain things that are important in related to this article. Now these are the two articles that are very important, and the most important one was related to reigniting the flame of India Korea Defense Cooperation. So what I have tried to do differently this year is that I will be making sure that I am underlining and highlighting these articles so that you guys know which are the most important points that you have to read when you are reading an editorial, right? So आपको पता होगा कि ये चीजें थी जो सर ने अंडरलाइन करी थी, so that we guys are also focusing on these aspects so that you have a ready-made material in front of you guys. This is related to an article that I'm trying to tell you, that is the reigniting the flame of India Korea Defense Cooperation. Now let's try to understand this article. First of all, in November 2023, there was a visit of the General Manoj Pandey, who is the chief of the Army Staff of India, to the Republic of Korea, right? We are talking here about the South Korea. It signifies a critical juncture in the trajectory of India-Korea defense relations. Now here, the whole topic has been related to, in this article, is related to defense cooperation and understanding what are the hindrances that are there between the relationship from Korean side as well as from the Indian side. What are the main, we can say the loopholes, and what can be done in order to address those loopholes. So this is the technical, we can say, structure that has been made in this editorial, where they have tried to emphasize on 2 points कि पहले तो हम hindrances बता दे क्या है, then they will try to tell you about how we can explore and remove those hindrances, and third, what has been the historical cooperation that has been taken by the two countries, that is India and the South Korea. Now, one of the things that has been discussed, that is from the Korean side, is a hurdle lies in the resistance on the Korean government side to reassess India's role in the region. It is incumbent upon Korea to comprehend that India is not merely the largest consumer of defense products, rather, it stands as a regional power capable of substantial contribution to peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific. Now, one of the things that has to be understood is Korea is basically what they have seen over the years. It is just that the India is, let's say if it is doing trade with Korea, it is just the consumer of the defense products, nothing more than that. But what they are not able to see is, and what they have not been able to see in the past as well, that India is now becoming the leader of the global South. India has developed as well, and India is on the path to become developed by 2047 as well. Plus, India is also committed to provide a rule and a safety-based order in the Indo-Pacific region as well. And when we see a strong nexus that is being built between Russia, China and North Korea and Iran as well, and there the problems of South Korea gets exposed, therein they like and they want to see the like-minded countries, like they have USA, like they have Japan, like they have what we can say Canada, like they have France. Western countries, plus India, that is also committed to more peace, more stability, free, open Indo-Pacific policy. I hope this point is clear to everybody that Korea has not been able to understand and assess the India's role. So this is the first hindrance that we have to understand. Second hindrance that they are talking about is prevailing over emphasis by the Indian government side on the weapons acquisition and technology transfer from Korea, while undeniably pivotal, has tended to overshadow broader strategic considerations. Now, this is the point that they are trying to tell over here कि इंडिया का भी ज्यादा ओवर एम्फोसिस क्या रहा है कि हम टेक्नोलॉजी ले लें और टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर कर लें या डिफेंस प्रोडक्ट्स को कंज्यूम कर लें. But what has been missing is that they have not been able to understand what could be the possible options that could come in the upcoming future. Rather, if they don't focus only on the short term goals, but on the long term goals, plus focus on having a meaningful strategic collaborations. This is the point that has been missed by India. That was the point that I told you, that where they see India as only the consumer of the defense products, that is the thing that has been understood by Korea. So these are the 2 points that we have to understand, that it has been a problem from Korean side as well, plus it has been a problem from Indian side as well. Third, the emerging coalition of North China, Korea, China and Russia poses a new challenge to the collaborative efforts between the two nations. Divergent stances may arise, necessitating a nuanced appraisal of each party's strategic imperatives. So this is the point that I want to tell you. Don't worry guys, this point, if it is not even visible, I am dictating, so that's not a worry, right? Dhavani Panchal. Okay. Now the next important part that they have tried to discuss is hindrances. देख ली, ना ही इंडिया समझ पा रहा है, ना ही कोरिया समझ पा रहा है, और ना ही समझ पा रहे हैं कि जो एक्सिस बन रही है नॉर्थ कोरिया, चाइना और रशिया की, it will cause a greater problem. But another thing that they have tried to tell is how we can explore this option of relationship between India and South Korea. So here they are talking about having technological collaborations. Given their technological capabilities, given their shared understanding of that role that technology is going to play in the upcoming future, in the field of defense, in the field of, let's say, science, innovation, right, cyberspace, crime, right, in cyber crime, all in these fields, technology is very important. So what they can do is they can collaborate on these technologies, given how much potential they can have, and become, let's say, mutually benefit from the defense technology industry partnership, propelling both countries to be the front runners of innovation and self-reliance in an era where defense against space warfare, information warfare and cyber security is paramount. Both nations can further explore opportunities for cooperation. Now this is an important point that we have to understand. आज के टाइम पे देखो साइबर क्राइम सबसे ज्यादा हो रहा है, आज के टाइम पे इंफॉर्मेशन वॉरफेयर चल रही है, स्पेस वॉरफेयर चल रही है. उस कंटेक्स्ट में तुम्हें एक डिफेंस प्रोवाइड करना चाहिए, डिफेंस के लिए तुम्हें टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए, उसके ऊपर तुम्हें क्या करना है, कोलैबोरेट करना है. दिस इज द पॉइंट दैट हैज बीन मेंशन्ड ओवर हियर. Strengthening coordinated efforts to counter terrorism align seamlessly with the shared concerns of India and South Korea. There is potential for collaboration in, now there is another potential they are talking out over here, that is in maritime security, including joint patrolling, information sharing, given the significant maritime interest of both countries have in the Indian Ocean. Now यहाँ पे कोई दो राय नहीं होनी चाहिए, because one of the thing that we understand is that both the countries are committed to have a free and open Indo-Pacific region, that is to have a common interest in the Indian Ocean, and in order to do that they can come together and they could have collaboration in maritime security, including joint patrolling and information sharing. Now what are the things that have been done by these countries in the past? India and South Korea can leverage their United Nations peacekeeping expertise for collaborative efforts. I think everybody knows that India, एक अगर हम बात करते हैं peacekeeping को लेके, India has been the biggest contributor to United Nations peacekeeping missions, and South Korea as well. Lastly, we have seen that mutual growth has been found in enhancing joint army exercises, fostering interoperability, and strengthening the capabilities of both armies for effective collaboration in diverse scenarios. So these are the points that they have tried to tell you कि यहाँ पे हमारी collaboration रही है joint army exercises में. Second thing is in the United Nations peacekeeping mission. Then third thing they are talking about over here is that we need to focus on technological collaboration, and these are the areas in which we can have joint efforts, joint collaboration, and if we can do that, yes, ultimately in the upcoming times we would be able to see a better relations between India and South Korea. आई होप दिस आर्टिकल इज क्लियर टू एवरीबॉडी, राइट? इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल था और आपको ये इसको अपने नोट्स में एड ऑन करना है, द वे आई हैव मेड श्योर कि आई हैव अंडरलाइन दीज इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स, राइट? ओके, the next article is very interesting. It is related to widening war. US do not see Houthi attacks as a concern independent of the Gaza war. Now this is very very interesting and very very simple, plain and black and white. ये जो सिचुएशन और आर्टिकल है ये यार हमें समझाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं द सिचुएशन दैट वी आर विटनेसिंग राइट नाउ इन द रेड सी, where commercial vessels have been hit by Houthi backed that is rebels which are backed by Iran. That is quite a result of the way the things have been going in Gaza, where Israel government has become offensive and they have launched attacks against the people, civilians and the Hamas. As a result, the Yemen, अगर हम back group कहते हैं, Houthi rebels, they have basically come in this Red Sea, attacked the vessels, and they are making it very difficult for the countries to follow this path. Now, one of the questions that has been raised over here is, despite USA getting aggressive in the Red Sea, despite being USA has recently sank the vessels and of let's say अगर हम Houthis की बात कर रहे हैं, still Houthis are still in that area and they are attacking the commercial vessels. Now, one of the points that we have to understand in this context is, first of all, इसका impact क्या है? One of the things that is quite evident is that African nations, those who have been hit by the lesser amount of trade now that is happening around this Red Sea because of the way how the groups have been attacking the vessels. So as a result, merchants have taken a different altogether route. So a lot of countries around the Western African countries, when we talk about, have been hit by this lower amount of revenue and lower amount of trade, but still they haven't come to the aid of the USA in order to fight against those groups, that is the Houthi groups who have been targeting the commercial vessels. This gives us a basic knowledge and information that जो अभी गाजा में हो रहा है इजराइल के थ्रू and which is being backed by USA is not acceptable to the Arab world. This is quite simple and this is simple, plain black and white. भाई यूएसए ने अपनी अनकंडीशनल सपोर्ट दे रखी है किसको? इजराइल को. और जो गाजा में हो रहा है, देयर हैजंट बीन एनी रेजोल्यूशन दैट हैज बीन पास दैट इज रिलेटेड टू कि भाई यहां पे सीज फायर हो सके, राइट? सीज फायर की तो बात ही नहीं कर रहा यूएसए, जिसकी वजह से अभी अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं, हाउदी ने पूरा अटैक किया हुआ है रेड सी के ऊपर. सो दिस इज द वन ऑफ द एस्पेक्ट दैट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. नो अफ्रीकन कंट्री हैज कम टू द एड ऑफ यूएसए. सेकंड, यूएसए इज फाइटिंग द लोन वॉर बिकॉज नो कंट्री इज कमिंग टू इट्स एड and they have been drowning the vessels, but it doesn't is debarring from the Houthi rebels from taking another attacks on the commercial vehicles. Second important thing that they are trying to tell over here is, if USA wants to stop this situation, what is happening, that is they need to first of all bring a resolution, bring the ceasefire, then only they would be able to control this situation. Otherwise USA would get entangled in this war, and this war now has obviously moved beyond Israel and Palestine. So this is the point that they are trying to tell over here कि वो इस Houthi attacks को concern ऐसे ना देखे that is independent of the Gaza war, but yes, it is totally in alignment with the Gaza war, what has happened in Gaza. I hope these articles are clear to everybody, and if you are to have a viewpoint related to a certain situation, now you are aware of these viewpoints as well, right? Okay, now moving to the next part. Now, this is the article that talk about attacks in the Red Sea in the Houthis may hit India's oil trade. Yes, obviously we know about this, right? It will hit the India's oil trade as well. Now, this is a very interesting article. It is related to the balance of payment crisis that India faced in 1991. Now, before we discuss this balance of payment crisis and how IMF bailed us out, there are certain nitty-gritties that has been discussed in this text page, and that is leading to the role of the आरबीआई गवर्नर एट दैट टाइम वेंकट रमन, राइट? वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वेंकट रमन जी थे जिनका रोल यहाँ पे बड़ा ही इंपॉर्टेंट है जो एक्सप्लेन किया गया है. सो आई हैव ट्राइड टू पिक अप द फ्यू इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स फ्रॉम दिस टेक्स्ट एंड हाईलाइटेड इट, राइट? लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. Starting in 1990s, India had a severe balance of payment crisis. Now, what was this balance of payment crisis? it was related to two factors, or it was by double whammy. What is the double whammy over here? One was that there was reduction of receipts, कि बाहर से हमारे पास पैसा नहीं आ रहा था. There was slowing of inward remittance. And second one was the rise in the price of oil, right? That was following the invasion of Kuwait by the Saddam Hussein. So these were the two important factors. One was के कुवैत के ऊपर इन्वेजन हो गई थी जिसकी वजह से ऑयल के प्राइसेस बढ़ गए थे. सेकंड थिंग वाज दैट देयर वाज लेसर ऑफ द रिसीट्स दैट वाज कमिंग. एज अ रिजल्ट value of imports increased, and in 1990 current account deficit had increased to 3% of GDP. That was a level that was the highest in the 2 decades. Now here comes the important thing. What happened was कि यार हम बाहर से हमारे पास इंपोर्ट्स, एक तो हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है, दूसरा इंपोर्ट्स महंगे हो रहे हैं. So that is a quite a difficult situation for India as well. That how we gonna finance our certain things. अगर हमें ऑयल खरीदना है, ये बाकी सारी चीजें खरीदनी है, हमें अपनी डेट पेमेंट्स करनी है, नॉन डेट पेमेंट्स करनी है, हम कैसे करेंगे? हमारे पास इतने रिजर्व्स ही नहीं है. So in that moment, RBI led by Mr. Venkit Raman played a very important role. That was to pledge its gold to international banks for a hard currency loan. Now this was a significant step, and not many people know about this. The details of the hard currency or these initiatives are set out in RBI's official history. In April 1991, government raised $200 million from the Union Bank of Switzerland through a sale of 20 tons of gold confiscated from smugglers. Again, in July 1991, India shipped 47 tons of gold to the Bank of England to raise another $405 million. This helped the country repay its international donors and creditors, though it was not sufficient to completely absolve the country of the crisis. So what happened at that moment of time was इंडिया वॉज प्लेजिंग इट्स गोल्ड. इंडिया ने अपना गोल्ड प्लेज करना शुरू कर दिया. जैसे कि आप देख सकते हो, एक हमने किया बैंक ऑफ स्विट्जरलैंड को, एक हमने किया बैंक ऑफ इंग्लैंड को, ताकि जो हमारी अभी इंटरनेशनल ऑब्लिगेशन है, अगर हमें किसी का लोन लेना है, वो हम उनको वापस कर सके. बट one thing we need to understand is that the main important thing that was taken during the time of Venkit Raman was that we tried to compress the imports. This was the most important thing that was done during his tenure. Otherwise हमारा डिफॉल्ट बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाता अगर हम अपने इंपोर्ट्स को कम नहीं करते. So this was basically backed by increase in cash margin. Now here you can see the cash margin was hiked fourfold between October 1990 and April 1991. Supplementary measures that raised the cost of imports were implemented too, together constituting a stringent effort to rein them in. This strategy turned out to be a winner, and the current account deficit flipped from a high 3% to a mere 0.3% GDP in 1991. This almost eliminated the need to raise foreign exchange to finance India's non-debt payments. Though a government led by Narasimha Rao was to take office in mid 1991 and set in motion measures including a devaluation of the rupee, improved balance of payment over the long term, there is a reason to believe that the immediate improvement of balance of payment may be largely attributed to the import compression put in place by the RBI. Now, this is the most important thing that we have to understand. I hope you are able to understand this. Everyone thinks कि जब बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट क्राइसिस हुआ 1991 में, उसके बाद हमने एलपीजी मेजर्स लेके आए नरसिम्हा राव सरकार ने, जिसकी वजह से हमारी सिचुएशन प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हुई. नो, इट वाजंट लाइक दिस. It was basically the efforts that were being taken by the Venkit Raman ji, जिन्होंने पहले तो गोल्ड को प्लेज करके अपने जो इमीडिएट लोन थे उनको पे किया. Second important thing was that we needed to count in and decrease our current account deficit, and for that we brought in certain very strict measures that put a restriction on the imports, and that is quite evident as well how our current account deficit changed from 3% to a mere 0.3% of GDP in 1991 and 1992. I'm telling you guys, this is your in plate a prelims question. ये पूरा आर्टिकल आपका prelims का क्वेश्चन है, right? चलिए, moving to the next part. Now this is a very interesting and a very simple thing. I will just gonna read the gist. That is, on December 28, Financial Intelligence Unit India issued show cause notice to 9 offshore virtual digital asset service providers for operating illegally and not complying with PMLA. VDA's SPs were brought. When we talk about these virtual digital asset service providers, were brought under anti-money laundering, counter financing of terrorism framework in March 2023, mandating them to report verified identities, financial positions and suspicious transactions, among other obligations. The objective is to monitor financial transactions, curb money laundering, and prevent terror financing. Now, this is a very simple and interesting thing you might be knowing about this, that how country is basically regulating these virtual asset providers, and now they want to curb these money laundering and prevent this terror financing. That is why they have brought in this all this virtual digit assets that we call as cryptocurrencies, right, under their radar. Okay, moving to the next part, how radiocarbon dating revolutionized science. So this is about radiocarbon dating होती क्या है, बस एक बार देख लेना, इसमें ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है. Radiocarbon dating is a method by which an age of an object can be determined, right? So I've highlighted this important point. If you want to read more about it, you can do that, but I don't think there is much need related to it, right? Okay. Now, Jai Shankar would be heading to Nepal this week. There are certain agendas that are on the mind, and one is related to the purchasing 10,000 megawatt of hydroelectric power from Nepal, and discussing air connectivity issues and digital payments, and the inauguration of development projects funded by India are all in the agenda that would be discussed by our external affairs minister, right? So this is one of the news. India and Pakistan have exchanged and continued their annual practice since 1992, and they have exchanged a list of their nuclear installations under a bilateral pact that prohibits the two sides from attacking each other's atomic facilities. The agreement was signed on December 31st, 1988, and it came into force on 27 January 1991. This pact mandates the two countries to inform each other of nuclear installations and facilities to be covered under the agreement on the every new year. This is the 33rd consecutive exchange of such list between the two countries. Now, this is very important point. Most of you would not have gone to this, but this is very important, right? आई थिंक यहाँ पे कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, ये बड़े ही शर्मनाक चीज है. आफ्टर आयरन ब्रिज एंड रेल ट्रैक, अ पॉन्ड हैज बीन स्टोलन इन बिहार, राइट? आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ यू वुड हैव हर्ड अबाउट दिस. अब पॉन्ड ही स्टोलन हो चुका है बिहार में, राइट? सो एनीथिंग कैन हैपन इन इंडिया, राइट? चलिए. So this is related to 196 cases have been reported in India. That is a variant, that is subvariant JN.1, right? जापान में बहुत dangerous, there has been a warning of tsunami, but it will not impact India. That is the thing that has been said. These are all the things. Major Japan quake trigger tsunami, residents told to run, right? So situation is not good in Japan, and I think we are done with our today's analysis, right? I don't think there is one another important news. Okay, and this is related to the things that we have already discussed, that what happened in India in 2023, that we have launched the International Big Cat Alliance to conserve the world's 7 principal big cats, that are tiger, lion, snow leopards, jaguar, puma, and cheetahs. Alliance is open to 97 countries and organizations, right? So this year what has happened, that has been told over here, that we have achieved the INDC that we had declared कि हम emission intensity को कम करेंगे. 11 साल पहले अचीव कर लिया, that is by 33% between 2005 and 2019, right? So this is a point that has been told. And there was one important thing that happened this year, was that we amended the Forest Conservation Act. Now this is a one act that has been amended, and it has faced a lot of criticism because it allows state and the country to clear any forest area that lies within 100 kilometer of LOC and LAC, and for that there will be no requirement of forest clearance. And that has been debated by the conservationists and various states as well, like Himachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Mizoram, and Assam. They have said that such a step could potentially encompass large areas of their forest land and affect traditional forest dwelling communities, right? So these are the certain things that happened over the time period. I think you must have read about this. So here they are talking about Forest Conservation Act, then they talk about reducing emission intensity, then they have talked about International Big Cat Alliance, right, guys? So that's it for today. I hope you were able to understand the analysis and you enjoyed the analysis, right? So this is it for today, and we will be doing this kind of framework for this week. Next week I would be coming on the camera and will be discussing with you these topics, right? So I hope this part was clear to everybody. I have highlighted the important parts, right? तो आपको थोड़ा समझने में ज्यादा अंडरस्टैंडिंग रही होगी और पता चला होगा कि क्या क्या चीजें हमें इंपॉर्टेंट है जो पढ़नी है, right, guys? Okay, so thank you so much, guys, and we will see each other now on tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m. Till then, take care, enjoy.